Hey everybody, it's Bill Slocum at NC State University. I'm going to talk with you a little bit today about an introduction to the National Park Service ArcGIS Online for organizations, specifically creating a hosted feature service using ArcMap so that you can take that feature service and use it in online web mapping applications and web apps. So a little bit of housekeeping, some disclaimers. Neither the National Park Service nor NC State University endorses or recommends any commercial products, processes, or services. This material may not be used for advertising or product endorsement purposes. This material is intended for educational purposes only. Neither the U.S. government nor NC State University warrants or assumes any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any information, apparatus, product, or process disclosed. Okay, housekeeping out of the way. So how do you create a hosted feature service in ArcGIS Online using ArcMap? Well, you can see on the right here that I've got a little outline. It's pretty simple. First thing you want to do is you want to create a map document in ArcMap. So you want to create a map in ArcMap. And things to consider are the layers, the symbology, the visible attributes, attribute aliases, and your map document properties. Once you configure all of those, it's pretty easy to create a usable hosted feature service. So once you create your map, you sign into ArcGIS Online. I'll show you how to do that. And share your map as a service. And finally, it's always nice to check your work, check your service in ArcGIS Online when you're done. So the URL you really need to remember is right up here at the top. HTTPS, that's for secure services, //nps.maps.arcgis.com. So let's get started. I've already created a map document here. Let me bring that up for you. Here we go. It's a Colonial National Historical Park. It's their park boundary, and this is available on nps.gov. You'll notice that I have two layers in my map document here. I have a linear representation and a polygon representation. Now I could share this as a service if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. In my workflow, I like to have one layer per service. That way I can reuse that layer whenever I want. And if I want a linear representation, I can always have that. That way it's transparent, as you would see here. And in ArcGIS Online, a lot of times what you see on your ArcMap display is what you're going to see in ArcGIS Online. So I'm just going to remove this polygon representation, and I'm going to save my map document. This is important. I'm going to save this as Colonial Boundary Line, so I know that it is simply a linear feature. Now, another thing that I mentioned, not only about the layers, but about the symbology. A lot of times what you're going to see in ArcGIS Online is what you see in your ArcMap display on your desktop. That's why it's always good to check your work to make sure that that actually is true. Okay, so I've got one layer, so I can use this over and over and over again. It's going to maintain that symbology, and let's look at the visible attributes. So I've just got my Identify button here, and I'm going to click on a parcel, and you'll see that there's a lot of different attributes. Well, you really want to limit the attributes that your clients would see, and also give them some real names that they could use. So I'm just going to jot some of those fields down, and then I'm going to go into the layer properties and change those and give them an alias that's a little more easy to see or understand. I'm sorry. So okay, I've brought up my attribute table for my park boundary layer here, and also the layer properties. Now remember, I want to just show some attributes that are going to make sense to my audience. Now, please notice up here in the attribute table, you'll see an asterisk. That means that that field is indexed. You always want to leave that field visible. Another reason you want to leave the object ID, in this case _1, and the shape field checked is so that you get the expected behavior in ArcGIS Online. If you uncheck the object ID or the other indexed field here and the shape, you may not get what you want to see in ArcGIS Online. You'll get unexpected behavior. If you don't believe me, give it a shot and have at it. So I'm going to turn off the object ID. I'm going to turn off feature. I'm going to turn off feature 2. But under feature 3, I'm going to give it an alias, and I'm going to say unit name. and that's the unit of the park, and I know that because I work with the park there. And here I'm just going to also say name. Those make sense to the park. I'm going to turn off ownership. S-type is something internal to the Park Service, and I'm going to leave acres on as well. And I'm going to say apply. So you'll see there that my attribute table has changed, and as you know within ArcMap, if I use the Identify tool up over here, I can click on a feature, and now I'm only going to see those visible attributes. And those attributes will transfer up to ArcGIS Online. So I've talked about the layers, the symbology, the visible attributes, the attribute aliases, and now remember I've talked about those map document properties. Those are very important because they contain metadata tags that you would like to use in ArcGIS Online. You can see that I've already filled out these. I need to give it a title, so I could put park boundary here if I wanted to. And I'm going to say that it's a linear representation. I'm just going to put line in. Now it's nice to put a nice summary and description and an author and some credits, and tags are very important. Tags allow you to search for these layers in ArcGIS Online. So I'm going to delete the thumbnail. I'm going to create a new thumbnail just to make sure it's all up to date, and click apply. And OK. I'm going to save my map document. Notice I've got my name up here. That's very, very important because that name of your map document is going to be attached to your service. So I've got my map document the way I would like. The representation to me is appropriate. The pop-ups look good. And I'm going to close that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in to ArcGIS Online. There's two ways to do that here. ArcGIS Online launches the ArcGIS Online dialog so you can access data and open maps, and signing in is just signing into ArcGIS Online. I'm just going to click the sign in button. Now, you have a PIV card that you use to access different National Park Service systems. That's what I want you to use. So make sure your PIV card is inserted and say Enterprise Login. Remember that URL I told you? Let's just bring that back up one more time. Whoops. Okay. Get that dialog out of the way. Well, it's still just having a hard time here, isn't it? So remember, that URL is nps.maps.arcgis.com. Okay. Let's get that back over here, and I'm going to sign in. I'm going to put NPS and say continue. I am going to use my National Park Service account. That is the account associated with your enterprise login for the Park Service that allows you to access all types of things behind the firewall, such as your Bison Connect or inside nps.gov. So I'm going to sign in with that and say sign in with my PIV card and say sure. There we go. Get all that stuff going. Now this can take just a moment, and sometimes the login can kind of disappear behind different dialog boxes, so you might have to move those aside. And I'm just going to sign in here with my personal code and click OK. And let's see how fast that works. Sometimes it can take a moment, so I'm just going to pause the video. Okay, that really didn't take long at all, and I'm signed in, and I know I'm signed in because I can see my name right up here. There's my login right there. So I've signed into ArcGIS Online. Now I want to share as a service. And I want to publish a service. If you do not have publishing capabilities, please contact your regional administrator in the Northeast region. That's Nigel Shaw or Roland Duhane or myself. And I'm going to click Next because I want to publish this service. Now this is going to take all of my data and move it to ArcGIS Online. You'll see here that my connection is my hosted services and National Park Service. If you don't see that, click the down arrow here and that'll bring that up. Now you'll notice the service name is the exact same as my map document up here in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to leave that alone. That way if I ever update this data, I can overwrite that existing service. I'm just going to click Continue. And watch the little blue donut spin around there. Might take a second. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay. And once I click Continue, the Service Editor dialog box pops up. You'll see these capabilities. Leave it as a feature service. Please leave it as a feature service. That gives you the ability to click on a feature just like I did in ArcMap and see those attributes. Item description. Well, let's go back to capabilities here. Let's look at feature services, and I just want some query. And you can say create, delete, update, sync if you're working offline. I'm just going to not worry about those right now. Item description. Right here, remember I told you to put in those tags? Well, there they are. You'll see this use and constraints. There is already something available for you online from the National Park Service. You just simply need to type in National Park Service GIS Data Distribution Liability Statement, and you'll get this this website here. Now, I have copied that into a notepad document because I don't want all the HTML tags in there. I'm just going to copy that and paste it right into here. And you'll see this share button. We'll talk about that later. Don't worry about that. That's so you can share your work with other people within your organization and groups. And I'm going to click the Analyze button. Now you'll see down here at the bottom, I don't have any errors. A red circle with an X in it means an error. If you have an error, you've got to fix that error before you can publish. So I don't have any errors. I'm going to click the Publish button. And you'll see here that the screen might flicker and flash a little bit, and you'll get the little blue circle up there spinning. Just let it hang out, give it a minute, and it'll work. Okay, now you can see that the service is published successfully. That took the data off my desktop, and now it is living in the cloud. So let's take a look at that. Here is my nps.maps.arcgis.com, and I might have to sign in again. So that's pretty simple. You're going to sign in with your National Park Service account. And, well, since I signed in already through my ArcMap document, I now have my credentials passed. There is the service. You'll see the service definition. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Just keep it together with your service. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see here's the nice overview of the layer, and you'll see here's the distribution liability. There's some tags, some information, gives you some tips. Maybe I need a longer description, but for this, let's just take a look at it in a viewer in ArcMap or ArcGIS Online. And you'll see here that the data loads up. I can click on a feature, and that information will pop up. Looks almost exactly like it did in ArcMap. So isn't that nice? So let's just recap real quick and bring this up so it's full screen. There we go. So I created a map in ArcMap. I was cognizant of my layers, symbology, attributes, attribute aliases, and map document properties. I then signed into ArcGIS Online, and through ArcMap, I shared that map as a service. And then I checked that service in ArcGIS Online, and it looks as I would expect it to be. All right, I hope you enjoyed this short little video. It's only about 12 minutes, and take care and have a good day.